Alright, freaks, I know y'all want to talk about Bojack Horseman, and we will talk about Bojack Horseman. I want to talk about Bojack Horseman, but we gotta sit for some background to get there. Y'all gonna have to get educated, and you're gonna love it. I think it's time that I come out of the closet and admit that I am a piece of trash English major, because today, I want to talk about my fascination with art mediums. Each medium of art has its advantages, its drawbacks, and its own evolutionary history. You know this. Poems are very different from stage plays, which are very different from paintings, which are very different from songs, which are very different from comic strips, which are very different from visual novels. All of these can convey a lot of meaning, but they're all enjoyed in different ways, by different people at subtly different times and occasions. For instance, a big part of watching a film is the fact that you're going to have to sit down for a minimum hour-and-a-half experience, whereas you can read a comic strip in a matter of seconds. And these art mediums have been so well defined by our society, and we grew up surrounded by them, and they're so normalized to us that we forget that these things all had to evolve to get to the point they are now. Like, you grew up surrounded by novels, right? They were in your school, in your house, in your bookstore, in your library, and you have a very concrete idea of the fact that novels are totally different from, like, poems or stage plays. But like hundreds of years ago, that wasn't so clear. That distinction became more clear over hundreds of years and thousands of authors. Art and its mediums are a massive part of culture, and thus they change when the culture changes, but they also change with technology. Like, you can't really have a book without, paper to print it on, or like ink, or like the printing technology to... Did I get this in like 6th grade? 7th grade? Sweet God. I am going to die. When massive shifts in culture and technology happen in a very short period, mediums of art and art in general can get thrown completely out of whack, leading to some very interesting things. And that is what is happening right now to television. I've been alive for 20 years, and in that time, the medium of television has changed drastically. All mediums of art are defined, at least in some way, by their funding, because, people need to eat to make stuff. But few mediums of art have been more intrinsically tied to their funding source than television. Television evolved out of radio, and so was quickly sustained by the same system: periodic advertising. Ads exist to fund television, and thus the television exists to sell ads. The two systems have such a sympathetic existence that they can hardly be separated. For instance, when writers are writing for television, they have to keep in mind the amount of time they have in an advertising block, and they also have to cut their story into chunks that you can insert advertisements in between. I'm sure you've noticed growing up that many writers will put in plot points or add in cliffhangers right before the ad break, incentivizing people to sit through said ad break so they can see the conclusion of the story. This happens even outside of fictional television, and some people became absolutely infuriating for it. Didn't they, Ryan? You may be watching CSI Miami because you just got Netflix on your Kindle Fire and you haven't yet figured out what good art is, and you just want some mindlessly suspenseful drivel that somewhat piques your half-formed interest to shove into your maw because you don't know how to spend that massive amount of free time you have, and also to ward off the ever-present specter of depression. But CSI Miami was made to sell ads. And because of this, ad agencies have a massive amount of control over what TV gets made. They're going to fund the television that makes its viewers most susceptible to advertising. Advertisers want you relaxed. They want you sedated, calm, not gonna go anywhere. They want you stimulated enough that you'll fall for their fear-mongering tactics of need and vanity, but not alert enough that you'll see through or be annoyed by their tactics. You can see this perfectly in daytime television, which is marketed towards, how do I say this? The medium's least critical adult viewers. Fluffy talk shows, relatable game shows, mindless soap operas, these are things that can be cranked out cheaply and easily, always there, so Mindy at home can get more vacuum cleaner ads shoved down her maw. You ever wonder why TV generally gets better after 6? Because that's when the smart people get off work and they demand something a little more stimulating. So that is how ad-based television works, and still works for the 8-year-olds watching this video for some reason who don't know what cable is. But for decades, there has been an alternative. The pay-per-view program. Pay-per-view television is sustained by people buying access to each individual product, or by buying a monthly or yearly subscription to watch it. While it's called TV, just like the ad-based model, probably because both of them, well, run on a television, and in many ways, it's very distinct from its ad-based cousin. While ad-based television is always there and always constant, meant to sedate and enrapture viewers, pay-per-view television can spend months and months building up to the gnarliest bloodbath the WWE will ever put together. Because it's more direct funding, these shows have always had bigger budgets and have directly competed with one another to see who can put on the most spectacular product. You can see how these different approaches incentivize making different products, but for many years, the pay-per-view model was seen as more of an add-on to the ad-based model, which was far more culturally relevant. Was more culturally relevant. HBO needs credit for pushing things forward, but Netflix really popularized the modern streaming service. These services are supported by monthly subscriptions and were at first advertised by just the sheer amount of content that could be accessed through them. But what really got these services to shoot off was the popularity of the first-party funded flagship show. You didn't get Netflix so your son could waste his middle school years away watching that 70s show. You got Netflix because your coworkers wouldn't shut up about House of Cards and you just had to be in on the conversation. You got HBO because your cousin was like, oh my god, Game of Thrones is so good, and you just have to have it in your life. And you got Hulu because, I don't know, I don't watch Hulu. I assume it's because they snagged Rick and Morty. Within a few years, the average quality of shows skyrocketed. Services learned that what made money was spending on massively compelling shows that could last forever. This started an arms race of services hiring the best directors and writers in every industry and shoveling more money at them than had ever been seen to make what is pretty definitively the golden age of television. Game of Thrones is one of the most expensive shows ever made. Those dragons, those armies on horseback, those sweeping landscapes, they do not come cheap. But HBO will pay for Game of Thrones because they know if you do, you will pay for HBO. And so many services are trying to compete, luring people in with their own flagship products. Most services, that is. You didn't buy Crunchyroll because you wanted to watch anime. You bought Crunchyroll because the website that shall not be named had pissed you off for the last time, and you just wanted some gosh darn convenience. By the way, Crunchyroll, your service is bought mainly for its convenience. Never forget that. Thank you for finally updating your player. Sweet Jesus, like every time I want to watch Steins Gate with my girlfriend, I would have to get the thing all the way back to the ending because I skipped the ED because I'm a real American and I wanted to just watch the rest of the show because I was hooked and compelled, but now we gotta get it all the way back to the beginning and it takes like 5 freaking hours! So we're living in the world where the most prominent TV shows are not being made for the ad-based model. They're designed for the streaming model of television, run over an internet connection rather than cable, and more often than not, they're not even being accessed through television. People are watching these shows on their phones, their tablets, their laptops, their computers, devices that gel well with the more stimulating active viewing experiences these shows provide. But if they're not being shown on a television or accessed through a cable box, are they even TV shows? Is this still the same medium of art? Perhaps they aren't. Maybe they're just shows now, or stream shows, internet series, we don't know. You know, history and culture will sort out the names in a decade or so. Don't worry, it always happens. But I think one reason a new name hasn't been introduced yet is that even though they are demonstrably very different, in many ways these shows culturally haven't moved that far away from their cable ancestors. A lot of these shows have the same basic formats as television, the same season length, the same episode lengths, and once those have been chosen, they rarely change, despite the amount of freedom that this new service provides, people are actually taking advantage of very little of it to create new and exciting experiences. The only big change is the release format, which is an aspect that customers really seem to latch onto. People want an entire season to be dropped all at once, and that isn't going to change anytime soon. Fun fact, Netflix did actually experiment with a fictional series that dropped its episodes once per week. It was called Between, and it starred Jeanette McCurdy, you know, that lady who played Sam on iCarly, who was like totally your OG waifu back in the day, and she would put butter in a sock and beat people with it, and like, I just want to be her when I grow up. iCarly, ahead of its time. Anyway, you haven't heard of that show because no one watched it, because unless it's like a documentary thing or like an interview thing, no one wants weekly content on Netflix. People want a show to drop all its episodes at once because the public is interacting with a show totally different from before. Gone are the days of sitting down with your family around the television on Sunday night and watching a show for an hour and then spending the entire week speculating with your friends at school about what's going to happen next and coming around next Sunday to do it all again, because we can't do that anymore because Once Upon a Time sucks now. These days, people want to binge. They want to shove an entire season down their gullet and then talk about it later. Once a new season is released, it is lapped up by its raving fan base, often with months of speculation on YouTube and build up. And there's always a new demented twist at the end of the season to come and make you be in the same spot the next year when they're going to release a whole nother season and start the process all over again. It's very clear this is a new era of media, but what's less clear is if these mediums have truly evolved to give customers exactly what they want. For me, a lot of these shows are stuck in the old ideas of cable television, not willing to embrace the structural changes that would truly create a binge-worthy program. None, of course, except for Bojack Horseman. Bojack Horseman is one of my favorite shows of all time. It was my favorite show of 2018, and every year I anticipate the seasons more and more and are blown away more and more. It isn't the only show on Netflix that I look forward to watching every year, but after interfacing with the service for half a decade, I don't think there's any show that's ever been on it that has been completely as compelling and as engaging. And out of all of the masterful experiences on its platform, I don't think Netflix has ever made one that is truly capitalized on the fact that it is a streaming and binge service than Bojack. I have never watched a season of Bojack in more than 48 hours. I have friends that have never watched one in more than a day. There is a reason that this show comes out on the weekends, because that is all it takes. 12 episodes a season, 20 odd minutes a pop, it's there and it's gone. The show goes by fast. It's no accident, it's no trick of luck. Bojack wants to go by fast, because Bojack, more than any other show I've seen, was written to be binged. Okay, so Bojack is a comedy. It's not a high-minded suspense thriller starring Jason Bateman with a gray color palette and a message of crushing nihilism. There's no imposing title card with a big red font. There ain't a lot of pomp and circumstance around this one. This is a trashy comedy with a dumpy art style. The title track is funky and mellow. You don't need to worry about too much, man. There's no massive stakes in this show, you know? No one is getting killed over drug money or saving a city. The whole thing is set in the glamour-shook hills of Hollywood, and all the characters are as silly, vain, vapid, and useless as their excessive professions. The main character is a washed-up sitcom star, with all of the charisma and charm of his old career washed away, leaving only sloth and insecurity behind. Each season of Bojack starts off relatively calm. There's rarely a big hook to drag you in. It's not that kind of show. This show doesn't run on big plot points. The stakes in Bojack are a lot lower, focusing on the ins and outs of the lives of characters which, despite their trumped-up lifestyle, end up coming off a lot like us, actually. Instead of burning purpose, nasty revenge, or desperate survival fueling them, these characters are just people. They're just hanging out. They're concerned with job interviews, going on nice dates, looking good for their peers, dealing with the idiots that they work with, small problems that make them very relatable and same problems that we deal with every day. They wind up in the strange, wacky events of each episode, not out of a domino effect leading up to a penultimate cataclysmic event, but just them stumbling through life, finding themselves where they find themselves. These little events make up the first few episodes as we go around this wacky world and deal with these stupid characters. And it's funny. It's really funny, guys. You know, we get to relax, we get to take a load off. This show is not stressful to watch. It's just a good, fun time. You know, we're just taking a break from the world with all of these relatable characters. And it's a pretty funny parody of LA. I love parodies of LA. Let's watch another episode. Things go on, one dumb event leading to a wackier one, and somewhere along the way a semblance of structure emerges. A big goal to work towards. Real life has those too. A book deal, a starring role, a film campaign, but we don't attack them immediately. We're gonna get there when we get there, but take it slow. There are stakes now. Stakes to finally fix all this crap. Stakes to finally get out of this dumpster life. Bojack may be whimsical, but it never lets you forget the challenges these characters face, the real problems of their lives that are a lot like ours and in many ways are more challenging than that of any action hero. Characters in Bojack Horseman deal with real problems. Crippling depression, pervasive self-loathing, alcoholism, the sinking feeling that no matter what you do, you're still gonna be the same sack of shit that's gonna ruin every good thing that's ever going to come to you, just like it's ruined every good thing that came to you before. These characters can't face the challenges they're met with. They're too flawed, so instead they escape. Just like we're escaping our crappy lives and watching this dumb fun TV show. The characters go on quests to find their purpose, to get their lives right. Episodes are linked together now, big overarching plot points. We tumble with them, episode by episode, picking up steam, going into the next one. I can't stop now, I'm too invested. More jokes, more laughs. We spiral in, we spiral down. Yeah, Bojack, go back on hard drugs. What's the worst that can happen? I find it entertaining. Let's go on and on. More episodes, more episodes. Just one more. I know I really should go to sleep, but this is really good. Just one more, come on. We spiral down and down, faster and faster every season until suddenly, without warning, we hit a wall. The wall that always comes. That wall is the show's reality. The show's pain. The unflinching truth at the utter failings of these characters. The fact that no matter how good they get, maybe they'll never get better. Season 3's drug-fueled bender of fun and excitement ends with Sarah Lynn's death. Unglamorous, off-screen, early, and preventable. A price paid for ignoring reality. And when Bojack woke up from that drug-induced stupor, we woke up with him to the harshness of a show that has no mercy for us. It won't let us forget the sins embedded in this show, sins that we see in ourselves. This happened before. It happened last year. You were sitting in the same chair, watching the same computer when Season 2 came crashing down, when Season 1 came crashing down. Every time you thought you were wise to it, but the show sucked you in once again. Once again, you put your faith in Bojack, got sucked into his world. A world you can only really stay in 1 or 2 days a year, because you can't take it. It moves so fast, it's so damn fun, there's no telling what's gonna happen. And Bojack lets you down again. Again. Even though you should have known better, you knew what this show did to you. You knew how real it got, but you kept coming back. Just like Bojack keeps coming back to his messed up life, to this messed up show. Because as messed up as it is, this show's got these bright spots, these beautiful moments that just keep you coming back. The bright spots that make the pain worth bearing, that makes the pain more precious even. And those hard times make the bright moments even more precious, even more worth fighting for. Because there will be another one. There will be another day. You will have another chance, even though you'll probably screw it up. For years, every season, this show has sucked me in, chewed me up, and spit me out. It's a whirlwind of experiences. One of the few shows these days that truly engulfs me. one that I can get lost in. It doesn't last long, only 2 days out of the year if that, but it's the process that I carry with me. Binge television has been criticized for not being very good at actually getting its viewers to remember what happened. But Bojack is burned into my memory better than almost anything I have ever consumed. Those 2 days aren't just 2 days. I carry this show with me wherever I go because this show is a drug. It's an intoxicating experience that warps you, that changes you. And that's not just due to the brilliant ideas, the voice acting, the writing. It's due to the way the show is structured, the way that the episodes flow into one another, the way the season drops all at once, begging you to consume it all. The hype surrounding it, they all add up to Bojack being not only a masterpiece, one of the seminal works of our generation, that if I can get a little pretentious for a moment, is actually pushing the medium of film forward into things perhaps even greater. Utilizing what is possible with this medium to deliver experiences more brutal and more enjoyable than anything that has come before. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true brilliance of Bojack Horseman. That video felt good. Got to get educational, I got to spread one of my dankest personal theories. I got to cover a popular thing that people might actually click on and put it out at like a good time, like real YouTube, I'm a real boy! I might do a deeper dive into the writing and characterization in Bojack Horseman at some point. Honestly, this video is pretty surface level. In the comments, maybe tell me what you're looking forward to seeing or what part you'd like me to cover. Getting supportive comments and seeing people subscribe makes me so happy I can barely even... it's the best. Best comment gets this lightly used AP Psychology book, which I honestly don't know why I have. Alright, I have been Wyatt the Word Weaver. I'm gonna get on making the next video even better. Until then, y'all be good. Okay. I guess that went well. I am just covered in sweat. Oh. Hi, Ishmael. What are you doing here? What in the hell are you still doing here? Why are you not in college? Oh, well... Oh, so you dropped out so you could shovel out a video barely every 2 weeks to your 100 subscribers, you foolish, incompetent! No, it's not like that. You know, I'm gonna get a job, I'm looking all over, and I'm gonna, you know, work and pay rent. In the meantime, I can... So you can work on the book. And how's that coming? Well, I have... You know, it's over 50,000 words. It's a real... Is it done? Have you reached out to a publisher? Well, no. You see, And yet, you're still wasting days of your life working on these stupid videos. I'm working on the contact. Don't forget, Wyatt. These videos will never be anything but a waste of time. Well, if they're wastes of time, then... what isn't?